Walter's World.
This is the highly requested weed iceberg. I know some people wanted me to cover this, and so being a seasoned veteran in this field, I feel like I should let's just get into it. Up at the peak of the iceberg, no, just above the iceberg actually, we have smelling that Zaza. Smelling that Zaza, you're out in public, you can smell it. Maybe your nose perks up. Maybe it's like a little Disney movie, and you like your feet lift off the ground, and you follow the smell of the weed. Whatever the case is, you're smelling that Zaza in public. We have people who say, "Isn't that illegal?" I mean, weed laws are pretty complicated. They don't make a lot of sense, and you can't even use credit cards in dispensaries and whatever. So yeah, law's kind of tacky, but yeah, certainly state to state, you actually might not know, because I mean, these I feel like weed is going to be illegal in all 50 states in a couple of years. So, people have been saying that for years. So who knows? We have is that a skunk? People confuse the two smells sometimes of a skunk and weed. Some people joke about it. Talk about skunk when you smell weed. And of course, you have the stupidest part of this, the probably the dumbest part of dumbest opinion on weed ever is that it's a gateway drug. Yeah, this is kind of just as far as I know, the only existing narrative is for why weed should still be illegal, is that it's a dangerous gateway drug. God, I'm sorry, the mental gymnastics you have to do to go to that, to think that weed should be illegal in 2023. Look, I'm beating a dead horse here. I mean, really, this has already been talked about a million times. Legal marijuana, yeah. Next up, we have the tip of the iceberg. This is kind of like this is their entire weed experience right here. So you have, takes one hit. That's enough for me. I don't know how many parties you guys have gone to where you're smoking with some old head, and then the old head takes one hit, and they're like, "Oh, you whippersnappers with your new marijuana, back about," and then they start talking about some fucking old ass story from like when they had to like. We have placebo high. Placebo high. It's like this is what unexperienced smokers get for the first time. It's like you're probably when you're at this level of the iceberg, are you really even smoking weed? I mean, you're smoking weed. It's like you're just doing it for like essentially cosmetic purposes more than anything, just to look different, just to look cool. That's why people do drugs anyway, just to look cool. But yeah, this is the placebo high. Chances are the weed you're buying for your first time's probably so bad. At least back in my day, it was. Now it's like you can just go to a dispensary and you can get the fucking best weed ever known to man, like for your first time. So there you go. But no, when I had to buy that shit off the street, that was some trash ass weed. We got Are My Eyes Red? Pretty self-explanatory. It's not your eyes being red that's kind of bugs me. It's the asking if your eyes are red, because it's like, so fucking what if they are? Also, even if you did have eyes red, that's not going to be the thing that gives it away that you're high to people. It's not red eyes. It's never been red eyes. That is completely a lie pushed by the media. But it's actually the smell. If your eyes are that red, chances are you're probably gonna smell a lot louder than your eyes look. Smoking that shake pack, obviously just trash weed. You call it shake. You can call it skunk. I've heard it called skunk. I don't know if that's the official term. I might have to consult the guild. But yeah, smoking that shake pack, that trash ass weed, just because you need something. And you have poorly rolled joints. Look, no one goes into smoking weed with. No one starts smoking weed knowing how to roll a joint. I smoked weed for like 2 years before I even started to learn how to roll a joint. Now I can roll a pretty good joint. But yeah, that's poorly rolled joints, the worst thing ever. Here we have the beginning of the depth of the iceberg right here. One that I think is far too common, crossfaded. Crossed. Essentially mixing weed with, I think any other drug technically counts for that, but it's mostly alcohol. It's mostly the drug you're mixing weed with, Those are two pretty tame drugs. And so, you mix them a lot. I think the other big drug weed gets mixed with, that's, shrooms. But, people don't take shrooms as much, obviously, as they drink alcohol. Oh, God, the cart just popped. I forgot to add that. On the list. I'll talk about that now because I didn't put it on the list anyway. So when carts pop, they it's like the wax. It's like when the wax seals the pen, and so when you heat it up, It obviously does a little pop, and then some really burning hot oil lands on your tongue. It really hurts. So definitely something to avoid if you're ever using a pen. I mean, it's pretty inevitable with every pen though, so it actually sucks. It's like the worst thing about pens. All right, where was I? Right, cottonmouth. That is when, and that just reminded me. Gotta stay hydrated. Cottonmouth is when, you've been smoking, and one of the effects of THC. I actually don't know the science behind this, but you just get really fucking thirsty, and then you get really hungry. But thirsty is the thing that comes first. I think it has to do with the smoke as well. I feel like the smoke on your tongue and in your throat. It's like, yeah, it's probably gets you really thirsty. So cottonmouth. Really, the only thing you can do is bring water with you whenever you smoke weed. Best tip ever: water bottle for stoners. I mean, people have discovered that, but God, dude, without it, dude, it's actually you can't do it. I can't even do it. If I have weed and I don't have water, it's just like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna be in fucking pain. The French inhale. What do they say? Actions speak louder than words. Let me try to replicate it. Okay, I think I did a pretty good one. Clouds are a little less visible on pens, but I think I did it pretty well there actually. On a joint or a bong, you'd see it better. But the French inhale, as you saw there, was you push the smoke out of your mouth, and then while you're doing that, you kind of vacuum it up with your nose. And so yeah, it's more just a trick. It's one of those things where it's practice makes perfect, but you can get the hang of it pretty quick once you know what to do. Yeah, it's like riding a bike. Yeah, this is a good one right here. Buy pre-rolls or invest in a bong. Look, you gotta come to the stages of grief. You don't know how to roll shit. You just gotta cut your losses. Bong's pretty easy. You just have to put. You don't even have to grind it for bongs necessarily. You should. You totally should. But if you just wanted to put a nug in a bong, you could probably make that work. You could make that work. I think so. I've never done that, but I think you can make it work. And we have the tip here, the tip of the iceberg, represented by kind of the cool uncle figure who wants to smoke weed with you. Next we have Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, he's able to smoke weed and he can still operate as a normal human, but he's high. So that's kind of the level we're at here on the iceberg. We have the productive high. The productive high is a divine experience. You are no longer couch bound. You can, this could mean a couple things. This could mean doing the dishes. This could mean going to the gym. Those are the two things I do when I get productive high. It's a divine, like I said. Now, as for work, I still think it's not great. If you have any respect for the job you're in, if you're working a shit job, get high. If you're not working a shit job, no, don't do that. Don't get high at work. That's trashy. Music on max. Self-explanatory once again. This one's good. This one relates to like when you got the music going, when you're really locked in. You play your favorite music, you're vibing, you're chilling, and you play your favorite music on max volume, and it hits different. One thing I notice when I'm high, when I'm listening to music, is I notice all the little intricate parts of a song individually that I wouldn't be able to notice. A lot of things are different. And then of course we have the dab pen. This is just a means of inhaling weed. Of course, very common for high school students who are forced to be in school and they just want to get high instead of doing their work, or maybe do their work while they're high. That's not fun. Don't do that. But on this next tier, this is kind of like we're entering dangerous weed territory. I call this kind of the you're doing stupid frat boy shit while you're geeking off that za. It's really not good. It's not healthy. I try not to get stupid frat boy syndrome when I partake. Sometimes I just get a lot of energy when I get high though, so that does happen, and I feel like I need to go exercise or whatever. Here we have, starting out, the Wu-Tang. Now this I do not like. I do not like doing this. I've never tried it. I don't like when people do this at parties. A Wu-Tang is when, at the bottom of the joint, so you've smoked most of it, it gets down, it's very low, there's just a little bit left, a guy will put it on his tongue and swallow it whole while it's still lit, And some people can regurgitate it, but that's not the point. You're kind of just supposed to swallow it, I think. I don't think it gets you any more high. I don't think it does anything positive for you at all, ever. If you fuck it up, obviously you have really bad consequences. Like now there's a burning coal in your throat, and that can scar you and fuck up your voice. Yeah, there's really no upside to doing this. But it's a funny party trick. When people do it, I would just say, guys, we gotta stop doing stupid shit. And next up, we have stupid athletic stunts. Of course, just kind of self-explanatory. I'm trying to do things that are completely or might be out of your physical capability. You know, weed doesn't exactly give you the best motor function skills. It doesn't necessarily impair it, but it's not good to try stuff like this. No. Next up, hotboxing. Hotboxing is actually pretty fun. You gotta keep in mind that this is really bad if you're trying to do it in like your house or something. This is gonna just ruin the carpet and your floors, the walls. So you gotta do this in a place where you do not give a fuck if this place gets destroyed or just ruined. But hotboxing is when you smoke a joint in a, not an airtight room, because that would kill you, but a relatively closed space so that the smoke doesn't evaporate. It just concentrates around you. This experience, it's fun, but it's really stupid because while you're in all that smoke, it actually kind of gets hard to breathe. It never gets to it probably could, but it didn't for me. Probably could get to a dangerous point. But yeah, pretty fun. I'd say try it if you can, but don't. It's not like it's so much better than smoking that you got to do it. But it's cool. This is a dumb one. Don't do this ever. Piss or soda as bong water, guys. Bong water is bong water. There's nothing. You don't want to replace it with anything. You don't want to sub it out for anything in the world. The only thing you might want to add to bong water is ice, and that's it. You don't want to change anything because at the end of the day, you're inhaling it. Yeah. So think about it like that. It's like, it's like if you want to replace it with piss, are you fine with inhaling into your lungs piss? Are you fine with inhaling into your lungs soda or juice or whatever? No, probably not. So don't do that. Took one too many edibles. This refers to, there could be multiple reasons why this happens. Number one, you take one, and the worst thing you can do is say, I don't feel it, I should take another, because chances are it just hasn't kicked in yet, because people underestimate how edibles work. While getting high, you'll get high in 10 minutes. Edibles will take you an hour, 2 hours, at most 2 hours. Never seen it longer than that. That could be devastating. Lighting a joint with a menorah. This is really, not everyone's going to relate to this, but this is for all my homies, all my shalomies out there. Essentially just any source of fire can light a joint. And that was represented, of course, by the frat boy. I don't think this guy's high, though, in this photo. But next up we have, obviously, we enter kind of like the weed zombie phase, to where you're still alive, kind of. You're kind of undead. That's kind of what weed does to you. But you're a weed zombie. You're, if not fully conscious, you definitely can't drive at this point. Definitely not. No, not a chance. This is the weed zombie, and so this is what you become after one too many hits. People around you just think you're crazy, whether that be for just some mannerism you've adopted as a result of the high. Maybe you're fidgeting like hell, or you're biting your fingers, and yeah, you're kind of starting to tweak. Can't stop eating. This is kind of when the muscles in your stomach or whatever. I'm no scientist, but this is kind of when your brain stops getting that feeling of, oh, I'm full, I should stop eating. Like, you kind of just don't get that, and if you engage it, like I have, the consequences are dire. It's not good. You have terminal stim. This refers to kind of ADHD stoners. When you have ADHD, you kind of just and you get high, you just stim a whole lot. Actually, it doesn't. Maybe it's not ADHD. I don't know. I don't know if that's what controls stimming. Sometimes you just gotta have something to play with. Maybe it's like a fidget toy. I have this on my desk. This little green pig. Sometimes it's just cool to hold it up, maybe play with it. Yeah, little cute thing. Sometimes I just gotta play with something. Maybe that's ADHD. I have ADHD. So you have terminal stim. It's of course exaggerated by the weed. Can't speak, and when you do, it's nonsense. This is I've come here too many times. I've known this too much. I'll start a sentence and then not finish it. Probably get halfway through. You have the Star of Death. I'm pretty sure. Now, okay, let me tell you. Star of Death is an incredibly potent edible. I think the Star of Death is 300 milligrams. Okay, so maybe I'm just wrong, but it seems like these are actually not 300 milligram edibles. These are 1,000 milligram edibles or 1 gram edibles, and that's dangerous. This is kind of bordering on like this is like a you're no longer taking weed to get high and have fun. You are taking weed as like a trip. You are going on a weed trip at this point. Fucking crazy. I don't know why anyone would take 300. I could not. I don't know why anyone could take 500, 1,000. I know people that are able to, but no, I could not. Lose all sense of time and memory. Now this kind of sounds bad, but it's actually not as bad as it sounds, I think. You just kind of forget what time it is, which is like, you already forget what time it is if you're having fun, really. And then memory, yeah, I mean, it's kind of just how it goes with a hangover. You wake up in the morning and you're just like, what happened last night? And then it all starts to come back to you, and yeah, I mean, take of it what you will. I think it's not actually that bad. You turn into this kind of gelatinous blob monster. English is not exactly your strong suit. Yeah, this is we're nearing the bottom of the iceberg here. No, we're at the bottom. We have fall asleep on the toilet. Pretty self-explanatory. This is just like hard drugs. You shouldn't be taking this much weed. Probably, you're probably a weed junkie at this point. You need to go seek some like medical help. But yeah, when you're falling asleep on the toilet, go get help. Did my dog just speak? This refers to obviously the dog. The dog roaming around the house, and then it just says to you something, and then he says like, "I'm never gonna speak English again." So for example, your dog will say to you like your name. So you say to me, Walter. You look me dead in the eye, and he goes, "I'm never speaking again." And he just turns away and continues being a dog. No one ever believes you though, but only when you're really high do they do it. It's a weird thing. It's like I think dogs know how to pick on you. Yeah, we have call mom. We're kind of in territory where you're afraid. You're kind of afraid. You kind of resort to this kind of primal state. You're no longer in like, let's trip balls. It's more of flight or fight, and you choose flight obviously because you're a punk ass bitch. Next on our list we have thinking about calling 911. I think a lot of experienced stoners have kind of had this. When it really gets to you, really fucks with you, you think it's gonna kill you. I think a lot of people have been there. A lot big time stoners have been there. I'm sure Joe Rogan's been there and Joey Diaz. But yeah, it's just like fucking blows to happen. But it's just like it's good to remind yourself. Yeah, it's gonna be over. Is that a cop? Of course, this is bordering on just schizo shit. So if you see like a guy in public, maybe it's a cop, maybe it's not, but really the cops don't give a fuck if you're high, unless they do. No, but they don't. And so this is just like people freaking out. It's people geeking off that za, as I said. You're freaking out, man. Maybe it's because you have PTSD to when you were a kid and some cop search and frisked you, and you were high as fuck. Of course, you have the ever famous weed panic attack. It's really weird that weed is able to do this, but yeah, I feel like I've known several people that have had panic attacks, and I think I have once or twice. Weed can just fuck with you sometimes, and so that's what happens. Then you have barely conscious. Sometimes you just fall asleep. You gotta hope that you do it in a good place. Depending on how high you are, maybe you gotta fall asleep on your belly so that when you throw up, you don't choke on your vomit. But yeah, you gotta fall asleep. Weed does help people sleep. So yeah, there you go. And now we are at the bottom of the iceberg. We're no longer touching the iceberg. We've dove off, and this is not good, guys. If you are getting this high, don't. You need to go seek help immediately. Go seek the police. I always say, oh, don't call an ambulance. You'll be fine in the morning. No, this is when you call an ambulance. This is when fuck the weed, fuck the trip. The lies, the media will tell you that weed never killed anyone. It's a fucking lie, and you begin to realize it. And so you got, represented by, of course, the demon you turn into, and you meet a demon when you get that high. So there are bugs in my hair. This is just when you're really high, you'll feel like there's bugs crawling on you, and it's not good. I'm sure it happens with other drugs as well, like maybe like LSD, maybe like meth. I imagine that kind of happens. Doing surgery on yourself. This, of course, kind of relating to the bug thing. It's like you feel like there's things that aren't there, and then you just, for one reason or another, you feel like you need to get it off your body or whatever. It's not good. Not a good time, guys. Don't do this. Do not do this. And then, of course, you have the when you've fully given up, you have pretty much suicide by cop, trying to finesse a handgun off a cop. Once again, I don't even think I gotta say, don't fucking do this. There's no upside. But this is just what happens when you get really high, and then it's just like I know when you're sober, I think a lot of people can relate. When you see that the officer's service pistol, it's kind of like enchanting just to stare at it, maybe reach for it, like it's the damn briefcase in Pulp Fiction. Yeah, so weed takes all your discipline away, and you just kind of go for it. So it's bad. You should not take any amount of weed where you would even consider to do this. Never do that. And then we have wake up. If you take what we have, it's called terminal high or fatal high. You've taken so much weed that it's essentially like traversing this existence, this plane of existence, and you realize that there is aliens, as a matter of fact, and yeah. Thank you for watching this. This is, of course, the long requested Iceberg video about the completely harmless drug of marijuana, and so I think it's just I think it's entirely just insane that this is illegal in all 50 states. So thank you for visiting Walter's World.